I never in a million years thought that I would be the reason, like, we were not able to. Like, I was literally the only man in the world that was, like, the reason why, like, we couldn't get pregnant. I had a countdown of the days until we could do my semen analysis to see if it was helping or not.
Upset and so frustrated that you're like, that's it, I'm quitting, I'm done.
You're just, like, rotting from the inside.
Welcome to The Long Way There, a podcast about infertility, loss, and what it really takes as a couple to get the family you've been believing for. Today is all about him, the guy, your supporter, your support system, but really about my guy and his story on what landed us here today. So, Brady, tell me about your diagnosis of Kallmann syndrome. What led you to discover that?
Yeah, so kind of a long story, but
we're here for it. We got time.
We're given the details. I would say probably sophomore year of college, I started to notice signs of low testosterone. And this was like right when I was starting to get into bodybuilding. So I was noticing like I'm not gaining as much muscle, or I'm just tired all the time. I had a lot of the side effects that a lot of people have when they have low testosterone. So I went in, the doctor didn't think anything of it, so they didn't check it during my annual physical.
Shocker.
Yes, advocate for yourself. That's another big thing we'll talk about. But later on, I had gone into an endocrinologist who was a specialist in hormones, and they did a couple tests. They found that my testosterone level at that time was like 67 nanograms per deciliter, which is...
Kindergarten, please.
Yes. On a scale, normal person my age should be anywhere from 300 to 1,000. And
yours was?
Like 67.
Okay.
Yes.
So really low.
Yes, very, very low. So the doctor wasn't surprised I had all these signs and symptoms. He wasn't sure. So when you get your testosterone checked, you have to have it tested in the morning, fasted, right when you wake up. So he just wanted to make sure that that was clear. That's what I did. He had me get tested again. I got tested again. And this time, I think it was like 30 some. So even lower. And once I found that out, they were getting curious on what might be causing it. So they checked all my other hormones. Nothing checked out of balance. And finally, they were curious. And actually, which made me nervous was possibly like a tumor on my pituitary gland in my brain. So they went in.
Yeah, that's a serious accusation.
Yeah. And so that was actually making me kind of nervous. Like, what is actually going wrong here? And they did an MRI. And they came out, and the test results were no tumor, which was a good thing. But at the same time, still no answer. After that, the only thing left they could do to finally like diagnose me was doing a genetics test. And then that's when their test results came back as Kallmann syndrome. Now, Kallmann syndrome, when I got home, I Googled it. And of course...
So great to Google it. We love Dr. Google.
Right. Google knows all. The symptoms of Kallmann syndrome are having low testosterone, but also the loss of smell, which is kind of crazy to think now. At that time, Sarah had her smell. Now you don't have your smell.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Kind of crazy.
I can't smell his farts, so it's okay.
Yeah, they're smelly. No, so, and what Kallmann syndrome is basically the delayed onset of puberty, and then for possibly not even having puberty at all. And so that's where I was kind of questioning, and I still to this day kind of question Kallmann syndrome as my diagnosis, because
there's really not a lot of research on it then, right?
Yeah.
Like it's something just that's hard to diagnose, almost like an autoimmune thing.
There was a genetics test that was done though. So it's clinically proven that's what it is. However, the onset of puberty, I know for sure I went through puberty because I had hair growing on my legs, armpit hair, hair is starting to grow on my chest. I was kind of going through those things. So I felt like I was going through puberty. But then now that I think about it, I'm not the tallest man out there. I'm only 5'6", a little bit, 5'6 1/4", I would say. Give myself a little bit of a bump. But
It's the shoes and the heels that you
yeah,
got.
exactly. No, so maybe, maybe there is a portion of it that leads into that, but it's just hard to tell. So I'm not 100% sure I'm sold on Kallmann syndrome. However, yes, it's 100% genetics, but just the definition of what it stands for doesn't really align with exactly what my experience is.
So as you're kind of going through all of that, you got diagnosis, it's kind of clinically proven, all of that. But what was really going through like Brady's head? Like through all of that? I mean, it's already hard enough from experience going down this rabbit hole of like trying to figure it out. And I'm sure a lot of you listening have been through a rabbit hole of your own.
Yeah.
Like what's going through your head in those moments? Like, is it just, are you in the here and now, or are you just like forward thinking like, oh my gosh, then this is gonna, this, and then this, and then this, and it's kind of that domino effect?
To be honest, at that point in time, it was just like, what's next? Like, what am I going through right now? I was, like I said, when I had the MRI test, it was more scared of like, the results of that test. It wasn't really looking into the future or what that looked like. I was just hoping that they would, this is the double-edged sword, where you're hoping they find something so that way you can find a cure for it and so you can get better already. But at the same time, I don't want them to find something. So I think that was probably the biggest thing during that time was you want to just have a resolution, but not wanting to have an actual serious issue going on. But at that same time, my testosterone levels were really low energy. Like I was curious, like, what is this going to feel like when I do have, like when I am normal in the normal range of things like that. So it's kind of exciting. Now I put the hard part in this is at this time I was starting to work out and starting to bodybuild. And the biggest thing with that is people always talk about like testosterone is like a drug that you take. And it was one of those things where I didn't want the stigma of that to fall upon me and that I'm taking this drug that's making me the way I am.
You're not taking it for the wrong reason.
Exactly.
You're taking it because you actually clinically need it.
Exactly. So that's where I felt like I couldn't really share too much with other people about it because I didn't want that stigma on myself of like people judging me for that purpose. So I felt that's where I kind of had to keep it into myself of like what was really going on because I was fearing the judgment that others would put on me.
Do you think for any listeners, if somebody were to send this to their male partner, because obviously it's the male side of things, that stigma just on males in general with low testosterone, like I think a lot of males are like, well, I'm a manly man. Like my sperm's not going to be like low. Like I'm not the problem.
Yeah. I would say definitely now that I have the diagnosis, I'm taking testosterone as a medication, it is becoming more known that men do have low testosterone, especially with microplastics, the environment we're in, the food we're consuming. That's why the infertility rates are dropping. It's not all because of the woman's body. It's a lot of because the men and their semen levels and their testosterone. It is clinically proven that testosterone levels now of men that are in their 20s or 30s is almost 50% of what it was like back in the 50s, which is ridiculous.
That's so crazy and absurd, really.
Yes, really. So now there are more doctors out there, more than just an endocrinologist. You can go to specialized doctors online and get a prescription for testosterone, finding out that your testosterone levels are low. Or even some clinics, I don't really suggest this, but they'll optimize you. So even if your levels are in range, they'll put you to the top of the range. Now, from my side of things, I don't like that because of what follows next with the side effect of taking testosterone really is, low semen levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, no, thanks for that little side note. I think it's important that people, like the male especially, knows that like that you're there, right? And that it is
more common.
Right? And it shouldn't be as much of a stigma as it is. Unfortunately, it still is.
Yes, very much so. Especially in the bodybuilding and workout community. that's one of the biggest questions people ask all the time is, are you on steroids? Or are you taking testosterone? It's just seen as this cheat code when really it's like, I need this to feel normal. Like that's what I'm taking it for. And I'm taking normal amount that keeps me where I should be for my age and not crazy amounts that everybody else thinks is going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if only they could see what's actually under the,
Yeah, under the ice of what we're going through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, okay, so you have the diagnosis, and you were afraid of the stigma. What is kind of next in that timeline of like this diagnosis?
Yeah. So after I found that out, it was the doctor came to me and said, the only real solution to this is to take testosterone. Since it is Kallmann syndrome, there is no chance of like raising your testosterone naturally for the diagnosis that I have, which would have been the route I would have tried to take. Now with this at the time, Sarah and I were not planning on, or we weren't even having conversations about kids really.
Yeah, I think it was, I guess, yeah, speaking of that like timeline, what does that look like? So you had these pathways of figuring out your testosterone before we even got engaged.
Yep.
So kind of college. So I'm assuming it'd be maybe the 2017, 2018 timeframe.
Yep.
And then, right before we got married, we kind of knew a little bit, right?
Yep.
And so you were kind of taking those. So then jump to we're married in 2020. And I know like that's when right away we weren't planning on, having a family. But also I remember you saying that your endocrinologist had told you some facts about family building, if you want to enlighten us.
Yeah, so that's when I first started taking this testosterone, the doctor did bring up the comment of, do you plan on having kids in the future? And at that point in time, we hadn't really talked about it. And I knew that I wanted kids, but it wasn't like something that we had planned out. So I told the doctor, yes, eventually, just not right now. And he mentioned that I would just have to, if I wanted kids when I'm on this medication, I just have to switch my meds to a different medication. It might take 6 months before I can, and then I'll be fertile and I can have kids. So at that point in time, yeah, it's laughable right now thinking about it.
It really is. But that's why we share, because somebody will be in the exact same shoes that you are. And if we can get this information to them, hopefully it'll save them some heartache and some time.
Exactly. Yeah, so I believe the doctor, and lo and behold, when the time did come when we were going to start trying, I went to the doctor, and that's when I went to my endocrinologist, and he actually referred me to an infertility clinic. And then the whole part about that is when you go to infertility clinic, I was expecting to go there and put me as the patient, when really Sarah was the patient. When we got checked
Lo and behold.
When we got checked in, it was, okay, what's your name? And they weren't looking for my name. They were looking for Sarah's name.
But we got to rewind just a little bit before we get to that point. So, yes, we found out that we had got to go to the infertility clinic. What medication did you have to take? Because you were taking that medication before we even got to the infertility route, because we were trying naturally before then.
Yeah.
And he had given the piece of advice like, okay, your levels should be fine. If you're not pregnant in the next 6 months or something, then, then we can reevaluate.
Yeah.
So walk me through what that is, because that's a very important piece.
Yeah. So I was taking testosterone for a couple of years probably at that time. And then the medication that I needed to switch to was HCG. Now that medication, I'm not going to get into medical terms, but basically it's supposed to raise your natural testosterone levels to make your body produce its own testosterone, and then it can produce semen. So when I'm taking testosterone, my body is not producing semen because that signal is not there to produce semen. It's just testosterone is coming in through technically a shot versus my body creating it. So when your body creates testosterone, it also creates the semen along with that. So my semen levels at the time when I was taking testosterone were 0. I'm basically infertile. So that's when started taking HCG, and that's when we gave it the 6 months of trying, and nothing was coming of it.
So with HCG though, obviously hormonal.
Yes.
So I know from my perspective, and maybe some of the females who have gone through IVF and all this stuff, we kind of use it as more of like a trigger shot.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that do to you and your body? Yes, it's in theory raising those levels, but what else? What are the other implications that come with it?
Yeah. So that's where I really struggled with taking HCG. You have to come. Here's another thing that I didn't mention too. My doctor didn't tell me that I had to come off of testosterone. So at that time I was taking testosterone and HCG, which basically does nothing. So we were trying.
Oh my gosh, we want to strangle that.
Yes. So we were trying for a very long time. Nothing happened. And then all of a sudden we go to the 3 months or 6 month appointment. They're like, oh, well, you're supposed to stop taking testosterone. Well, that would have been nice to know before. Wasted a bunch of time. And I will mention
frustrating.
HCG is a really, really, really expensive medication that insurance does not cover. So this is like
fully out of pocket.
like thousands of dollars a month. And so that was very frustrating. But one of the side effects once I stopped taking the testosterone and only took the HCG, I felt like I had no testosterone. Like I was really tired. I was very cranky. I was feeling depressed. I was just down in the dumps. And
worse than a period for a female sometimes. I feel like you had like this whole thing going on that was kind of like a period, but like a man period that was, it's like when a man is sick and you're like, oh my gosh, like, come on.
Yeah. And
although you're better than a lot of men, I'd give you credit, but still in that time I was just like, what in the heck? Like, I feel like I'm going crazy because you're crazy.
Yeah. And the hard part is it's the medication or like the switch of meds that's doing it. So like you have the solution is just to go back. But at that time you're looking at like
building a family.
Exactly. Building a family. You're doing it for the greater purpose and to sacrifice to do that. And that was a big, big struggle for me. Like the day to day, just getting through the day was very difficult and very tough. And I knew it put a lot of strain on our relationship at the same time.
And I remember specifically one time you literally said that you felt like you were like crawling out of your skin.
Yeah.
Like, can you bring us back to that moment if you remember kind of that feeling and describing that?
Yeah. It's just knowing like what you're going through, you have the solution is just to stop taking this med and switch. But at the same time, knowing that you have to take it. So you just feel like you're just like rotting from the inside when you know that your body is not that bad. Like your body is still good and healthy. It's just that one thing there that's like ruining you. And it just took like it's a mental battle because you're constantly going through this minute by minute, hour by hour, but you're trying to think of this on a large scale thing of like, this is for our family years from now. And that's where it's just, yeah. And
trying to think it feels long, but it's short term.
Yeah.
And then knowing that there's hopefully something on the other side.
Exactly. Long-term happiness and peace after that. And it got to the point where eventually I was telling Sarah, I was like, I don't even want to do this anymore. Like I had a countdown of the days until we could do my semen analysis to see if it was helping or not, because I was just waiting for that test result to come back and be like, this is good enough for what we need to continue IVF, and then I could switch back. It was that bad.
Well, there was a lot of conversations on that too. I remember you being so upset and so frustrated that you're like, that's it, I'm quitting, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I have to go through all of this shots, like, and you can't even like go through this like little piece.
Yeah.
I remember being frustrated with that, but I know what it feels like to have meds and feel crazy and just like not your normal self.
Yeah.
So you have the HCG. We found out that I'm the patient. I'm patient 0.
Yeah.
And what does that look like as far as we began with knowing that it's not your fault.
Yeah.
We began knowing that it was you with the issue, I guess.
Yeah.
And then later we found out all about my stuff. But what did that feel like being the man and being like, whoa, like, again,
Yeah.
because lots of men are like, well, I'm a manly man. My sperm's never going to be bad. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
rock star.
Yeah.
So what did it feel like for you being like, whoa, like, because we also didn't realize, I think we were naive to things at that point, not really maybe understanding that males could be the issue, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, in school, they don't teach you that. They're like, just don't have sex and you won't get pregnant.
Yeah.
You know, and all the things. So walk us through that.
I felt like the biggest thing was, you know, at that time it was my body, it was my fault. We had this plan on having kids, and I felt like I never in a million years thought that I would be the reason like we were not able to. Like you said, growing up, the biggest thing is don't have sex, try to get through high school without being pregnant, and all these things. And that's literally everybody just pounds you on it. And then when it does come time, you're not able to. It's just like the weirdest feeling how
the most unnatural thing that's supposed to be natural.
Yeah. In the story of people having kids left and right, it's an accident and all this stuff. And then here we are on the opposite side of it. And it just did not seem natural. And for all of that, it felt like I was literally the only man in the world that was like the reason why like we couldn't get pregnant. And
again, because it's not talked about, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Like, and if you're not in that world, again, you probably won't hear it as much, but we're even in that world and we still don't hear from that side.
Exactly. Yes. So yeah, it was just tough going through that period of time, knowing that it was my fault and seeing the hurt that it brought both of us, and knowing that during that time, like I was taking the HCG, and it was like part of the thing was like, this is my thing that I need to fix, like my thing that I need to work on.
You are a fixer.
And yes, in my body. And it just puts a lot of pressure on you, to be honest, to be the person that's like stays strong, is able to make it through this medication treatment, and to try to fix something that at the end of the day you don't really have much control over. Your body is going to do what it's going to do. It's going to interact with the meds the way it is. And it's just kind of one of those things where, you know, I always bring it back to like our faith. That was one of the biggest things that kind of brought me through it. And also our relationship at that time, like you supporting me, even when I was in the dumps in some days, like you were still there for me. Like you were still supporting me, still pushing me to keep going forward. And that just helps so much, knowing that, yes, it's my fault, but at the same time, we're going through this together. You know, it's not just me, it's us.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's one of those things maybe a lot of people also don't realize, and quite frankly, a lot of the males don't realize, that it does take two to tango, right? It is not just one-sided. Yes, the female carries a lot of that weight, but the male is also equally as important in carrying that load.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of invisible load when the female's going through all this that the male feels, because there's a lot of helplessness, even if it is, you know, caused by male factor infertility. There's still a lot of invisible weight, mentally, physically, spiritually, that you guys carry.
Yeah. And it goes back and puts a strain on that relationship. But I think that's where, like, I felt lucky with how well we were in our relationship at that time to help each other. But then again, it tears on your relationship. There was times where we had some arguments and conversations that I wish we never had. But I think that's something that also built us up to where we are today, to make it through that and to even just tell our story, and just come out on the other end the way we are.
Yeah, I think it is one of those things too, like infertility can make or break you as a relationship and as a couple. And some will make it out on the other side and some won't. I think it is too, like, yeah, like how much you want to put into that relationship, because yeah, we've hit the rock bottom. Maybe even a little past rock bottom.
Yes, I would say past rock bottom. Yeah.
But we've built ourselves back up, and there's ways that we did that gracefully. There's ways that we haven't done that so gracefully.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that matters is that we are here and where we are today. Yeah. And hopefully down the road we can help other couples feel like solid in that as well.
Exactly. So when you found out that it was my body, was there ever a time like that it was hard for you, or were you ever like mad at me, or what were your thoughts during that time when we were just starting to go through this, when we wanted to start our family And it was me that was causing the issue or the delay of that starting.
I think I was also naive to all of this, right? Like I'm not a scientific person. You are the knowledge and the brains with everything scientific, all the medical things, hence why you have helped us along this journey so much. But I think when we first started, in my head too, I was like, okay, well, Brady has the male factor, so we will just fix that and then we'll be fine. Like my body's fine. I have a normal period. Everything appears to be normal on my end. I've never really had any issues.
Yeah.
So then when we go, and again, our first round of IVF, that is for another podcast. So please stick around. But I think once I found out that we had to do the IVF, and I just specifically remember the doctor looking at me and being like, do you know what IVF is? And I was like, no, like, I know it's some way to, conceive and whatever. Yeah. And she goes, well, you know that it's needles and needles in the stomach and then needles, in the butt. She didn't say butt because it can't really clinically say that. But anyways, I looked at her and I remember sitting in that chair and just being like, what? And you can probably remember that moment too. I was sitting there maybe like deer in the headlights, like.
But there was no reaction. There was no reaction at all.
And usually I'm pretty reactive to things.
Yep.
But I think I sat there and was just like, oh my goodness. Like,
what news did we just get?
Like, what are we getting into? And still naive to the whole process. And I'm processing okay, these are needles. And I actually really hate needles. Mm-hmm. I don't like my blood drawn. I don't like shots. I don't like anything.
Hence why I gave all your shots. Well, you did a couple yourself, so I'll give you props for that. But
yeah, no, I don't think I was ever really mad. There might have been a portion where I was just like, oh man, this sucks. Mm-hmm. And not mad at you, but just mad at the situation. Yeah. I think because again, it's something that is supposed to come so easy and so natural that it just wasn't. So yeah, I don't know. I think that I was never really mad at you.
Now, when we were in the doctor's office that first time, when we just were going through the start of her infertility and they said IVF, what was your reaction to that? Or how did you feel? I know we didn't know what it was or what that looked like for us, but coming out of that doctor's visit, how did you feel besides just the shots and that?
I think if you put the shots aside, it felt like the golden ticket. Mm-hmm. It felt like, hey-oh, this is the answer. Yeah. This is our ticket to family. We're going to ride this train. We're going to get that baby, and it's going to be woohoo celebration.
Yeah.
We all know now, being on the other side, that IVF is not guaranteed. It's probably the biggest gambling thing that you can do in your life.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You throw all this money at it, and it's not guaranteed. And so now looking back, it's like, wow, I was really naive.
I will say, though, too, at the same time, coming out of that doctor's appointment, it was yes, IVF is your route. That's what you're going to do. And it just seemed like, okay, we just have to follow this procedure. We don't know what it is yet, but we just got to follow it. And then that's how we have our kid.
Yeah. And I think the thing that was also maybe confusing is we didn't know anybody who went through IVF.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember being like, wow, is this not that common? But again, it wasn't in my algorithms. It wasn't in, anything that I was seeing online. Mm-hmm. Nobody I knew was talking about it. And so, yeah, just not knowing anybody who went through the process. So I think we had this answer, but at the same time, we were just like, what are we doing?
Yeah, what is next? What does this entail?
And we really didn't, I think, know what the implications and the emotional roller coaster that this was going to throw us on.
Yes, yeah. And I don't think we knew that there was a possibility that this couldn't work. I thought I thought it was going to work. That was just what it is. You do this and bang, you have a baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently not.
No, definitely not the case. Not at all.
So what did you need from me during the first year that you wish I would have been able to give you, or you wish that I knew to give you? Was there anything that you can think of?
I don't know. You're perfect.
Would you
Just
look
kidding.
at that? Yay.
Boosting his ego.
No, everybody needs something. I was wondering what that might be for another person out there that's going through IVF, how the male can support the female during a time like that.
I think it's honestly just trying to understand. Obviously, you will never fully understand because you're not, built like us. But I think just being there and like truly listening to her,
Mm-hmm.
because it is not easy. And if you can do anything, like, always ask and be like, hey, what can I help with? I think I'm lucky in the fact that you are more medically inclined than I am. So you did mix up all of the medications. I am still shocked to this day that they let people take thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in drugs, bring them home, and expect to mix them like a chemist that you've done it before and get it right on the first try. Yeah. Like, it baffles me. And they maybe educate you one time,
they educate
months
you
before you even have to mix. And so the fact that you had some knowledge and you're mixing your testosterone and like all of that, I think helped us tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
But I am still thoroughly shocked that they allow normal people to bring thousands of dollars of drugs home.
And to not mess it up.
There's a lot of pressure with that.
Yeah. That brings to the stress and anxiety of the moment of not
Absolutely.
only giving your a shot, but am I actually giving the right amount? Did I mix this right? Is it the right time?
Right.
You're given an instruction sheet, and that's about it. And like
Yeah.
you said, you were told 2 months ago that on this day of your cycle, you need to take this and this at this time. And you're just like,
yeah,
this is the same med, but it has a different brand name because it was cheaper for us to buy. And you're
like,
trying
is it the same thing?
Is it the same thing? Is the dose the same? Oh, wow, we need to mix this one a little bit different because it's 200 milligrams per deciliter or whatever it is, you know, and it's just trying to figure it out. It's just crazy.
So I would say that I know a lot of females that falls on them to do the mixing and to do other things, because sometimes the man is maybe a little bit of a wimpier man and, maybe more queasy like me and doesn't know how to mix it. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. Like, again, you're not expected to be perfect and to know this, but if you are not the person who knows how to mix the drugs, then do it with her. Learn together and make that something that you guys are doing together. And I think as a female, we really need to invite you into that instead of being like, oh, well, we got it. It's my body. I got to do it. Like, taking some of that pressure off of us and making it a you and me thing, and learning together. I think that would really help a lot of couples. I
think a big thing with that too is if it's not only just the shots and the needles and like that process, I feel like it's everything. Mm-hmm. Like, the best way that I could help you, I felt, was like, if you're going through something, I'm there with you. Mm-hmm. Whether it was a doctor's appointment that I don't technically need to go to, it's not about my body, like, it's for you. Like, I'm there. Like, we're doing this all together. If you're struggling, trying to figure out how much meds you need to take or whatever, I'm there with you. Like, I'm helping you count your pills when you put them in your pill case. I'm helping you with all of that kind of stuff. It's just going along it with you. So you don't feel like any part of that journey you're doing by yourself. Like, I'm right there beside you going through it as well.
And I think from your point of view too, right? Like, it's obviously the female's body, we're the patient, we do all the things. So sometimes you feel like you're left out. Like, you're like, well, there's nothing in this for me.
Yep.
Walk me through, like, okay, you did all of my shots, so you felt like you were a part of this. Like, how does that feel to, like, you are now, I guess, like, part of this instead of just being a bystander on the side watching it unfold?
Exactly. Yeah. Since I went through the shots right away myself, like, starting off with the male factor, I felt like that was a portion where I kind of was going through it alone. I know Sarah was there with me, but it was one of those things where it's like, I want somebody there with me during that time. So I knew that's how I could provide for Sarah and to be there with her. And at the same time, I'm the one that's going to get the benefit from this all. Like the main goal is for me to be a father and for me to have a child, and for you just to do all the work just to provide that for us. Like that didn't seem right to me. It was like, we need to share this load as much as possible. So I'm there with you every second that you're going through something through this infertility journey. And not only that, but the times where I couldn't, where, for example, you were hormonal and you were sleepy after work or whatever it was, like I was making you dinner, I was filling your water bottles, I was, you know, doing chores around the house and just the random things like that. It was like my mission at that time was like, how can I make Sarah's life easier? Whether that's being with you or doing stuff for you. It was one of those things like, this is how I'm going to help Sarah provide the family for us. And I'm going to be a part of that journey too.
And it truly is a female. It makes all of the difference. Like those little things absolutely do. With that, is there anything else related to the Kallmann syndrome, male infertility, or just your story in the beginning here that you want to, tell the listeners?
I think the biggest thing is like, you're not alone. When I was going through it, I definitely felt alone. I hope that whoever's listening to this can have found a podcast or found people out there. Reach out to other people on social media. I know somebody might not have very many followers, but that person is willing to share their story and be there with you. I know we've had people reach out to us. We don't have a big following, but it's like being able to have a phone call with that person. Like people are going lengths to help others go through this process because we know how lonely it is. Like you can get a lot of help and support out there. So just don't be afraid to reach out to others, and just realize that it is the life in the way that we're living now that male factor infertility is becoming more popular. So don't feel like it's something you did. It's not your fault completely, that there are solutions to some of these issues, and that relying on your support system, on your spouse or your significant other is something you need to really lean in on, that they're there for you to help you through this process, and just to go through it and just have the hope that you can make it through, and just kind of just work together and just work with your body and just stick with your gut.
Absolutely. I think our listeners will absolutely take that to heart. It definitely is a community aspect. Infertility is not something that you should do alone. So make sure that you're even connecting with your spouse and your significant other on a daily basis.
Yes.
So with that, we will close. But like Brady said, if you found something from this podcast, please share it with somebody. Like I said, part of our story is you should not do this alone. And we really want to make sure that this gets to the people who need to hear it, especially you males. So if you're a female listening to this, please send this to your significant other.
Yes.
Hopefully he'll appreciate it. Or if you know for a fact that you do struggle with the male factor infertility, like Brady said, our DMs are always open. We want to chat. We want to help you through this. It's not something you should do alone.
Yes. Don't be afraid.
Exactly. Sometimes messy.
Always
Real.
real.
Let's do it together.